Having a child is indeed a magical experience, but unfortunately, most other people are assholes, and that creates a problem. My name is Jesse Lyon. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, trauma therapist, and professional dream interpreter. And these are some of the things that happened to me when I was about to become a parent that made me think just how much our friends can actually create trauma in us without intending to. First, we have to understand what trauma is. Trauma is when we have our identity ripped away from us non-consensually, and we go through this transformative process. So even positive things can be kind of fall into the realm of traumatic in some ways. So like, I had a child. That is a wonderful thing. It's something I wanted. It's something I consented to. It's something I looked forward to. But in the way that it processes in my brain, it is kind of traumatic. Now, it's not a negative traumatic, but my identity is being changed and molded and shaped in whole crazy new ways now that I'm a dad. And this is something that happens to all of us. If you go to college, if you move out, if you start a new relationship with that boyfriend or girlfriend, right? These are transformative experiences. Now, trauma is when it's non-consensual. It's ripped away and you're destroyed and shredded. That identity of yours is shredded. Now, unintentionally, your friends, your social environment, those people around you can actually make this worse. And these are some of the ways that I want you to be aware of so you can be careful for your friends, and some of the things that I want you to be aware of with your friends so that you know when the things that they're saying, even though they sound helpful, they're actually causing more damage to you and your mind as it's trying to process some of these changes. So one of the things that happened for me is everyone says all these stories about their experience giving birth and having a child, which is great. And the sharing is very important. It's how we as humans kind of relate to one another. It's how we grow and how we make understanding out of things. You know, we kind of combine our stories together to really understand what the experience is like in total, right? You know, so people always tell me things like one of the biggest myths that I heard was, man, once you have the baby and you're actually walking out of the hospital, once you're done, you're just going to be like, I can't believe they're letting me have this baby and just take it home. There's a whole new human like sitting in the back of the seat. I never had that experience. There was not a single moment in that entire duration where I was like, this is so weird. Why are they? I'm not responsible enough to do this. Never a doubt in my mind that I was like, yeah, this is my son. I'm taking him home. I'm going to take care of him. Like, this is what I've been preparing for. But everyone said, like, it's going to be so weird when you take him home. That was not weird at all. And then the second thing is they'll say, you'll get no sleep. Get sleep now. You know, enjoy your time sleeping now because you ain't going to get none when he's here. First of all, how is that helpful at all? It's not like I can actually catch up on sleep in the beginning before I get to the child being here. Like, I'm going to be tired no matter what. So why are you saying this? And that's my number one frustration. So the number one thing I want you to pay attention to is pay attention to when people are giving you suggestions about how terrible it's going to be. Oh, you'll get no sleep. You'll get gray hairs. Say goodbye to your body because now you're going to be stretched and, you know, all sorts of weird things are going to happen. Your boobs will get saggy. That's not helpful. Like, if you're just saying things to someone in order to make them dread the next changes that are going to happen in your life, keep your fucking mouth shut. How is that helping anybody? Now, if there's some things you want to say like, hey, you know, for me, lotion really helped on the belly or the boobs to help with the stretch marks, you know, and to help with the rashes and itching. That's helpful advice. You know, you're giving some positive insight and some wisdom to the situation. But overwhelmingly, I see a lot of people give just this terrible, terrible advice, right? Telling their horror stories. I'm looking at my notes, telling their horror stories. Your life is about to change. You won't be the same person anymore. And I got to say, for me, that was one of the most difficult things, are all of these negative things that people would say. And I understand why it happens. A lot of people feel really validated when they can talk about their horror stories to other people. Because really, and this is my theory, right? What that friend of yours is trying to do is they are trying to connect with you and gain sympathy. They want to be cared for, but they don't know how to ask to be cared for. So instead, they have to come up with the most horrendous story in order for you to be like, oh my God, that sounds so terrible. Oh my gosh, how did you get through it? For you to say these kind and empathetic things to them. If somebody wants care, just ask for it. You don't have to tell a horror story, because when you tell that horror story, you're setting this other person up for the expectation of this is going to be terrible, which is not helpful at all. It's one of the things that I understand and we understand as counselors And especially as hypnotherapists, hypnotherapy is all about suggestion. It's the power of suggestion. Advertisement is the power of suggestion. And so if you've got a whole group of friends who are overwhelmingly negative and who are not very good at asking for help or asking for care, and instead just tell these horrific, horrendous stories, it's going to poison your mind against this wonderful change that's going to happen in your life. And second point, when people do that, it takes away from your ability to authentically experience your experience. And that's the thing that frustrates me probably the most, right? So because you're going through this transformational process, right? Let's go back to the definition of trauma. Trauma is about your identity being ripped away and a new one being built, right? It's this learner mindset, right? You're starting a new relationship, starting college, moving out for the first time. You're being a parent for the first time, a grandparent for the first time. This is a time where you don't know at all what's going to happen. All of your cognitive structures, all the ways that you structure life and everything are being ripped away. And now you have to reinvent and figure out how life is going to work now. Grief and death is the same way. Sexual trauma, physical trauma is the same way. Okay, how does my life move forward after this event that changed things? Now, when you start to give suggestions and people tell you these horror stories, it doesn't give you the space to figure out what you actually feel. See, for me, because I'm a therapist, I had enough wherewithal to say, I didn't feel weird taking my son home from the hospital. It felt like the most natural and the most authentic and wonderful thing that I could experience. Yes, my son is home with me now, and I didn't have that doubt that most people said that they did. And it makes me wonder, do other people have these doubts, or has it just been said so many times, you're going to feel weird when you take him home, that it's poisoned everyone's mind. And now we think that that's just normal. That's how they felt when maybe they never did. For me, I never did, because I was able to listen to what I felt and kind of exclude and block out of my mind what everyone else was telling me I would feel. So that's another thing. Now, next thing that I want to talk about with trauma is this doubting of your own feelings. When you start to feel something different from what other people are telling you that they felt, it'll cause you to doubt your own experience, right? And so if I didn't feel weird taking him home. So a lot of people who maybe didn't have that same experience or don't understand the way that trauma works in the brain, they might start to say, oh no, I'm not nervous about taking this child home. Maybe I'm not taking it seriously enough. Maybe I'm not taking enough responsibility. Maybe I'm not ready. I'm not apprehensive about this. Maybe I'm just too carefree and lackadaisical. No, maybe you're just confident. Maybe that's a good thing. But see, because that person told their experience and tried to say, this is what you're going to feel, it took away from that. And I see this happen with parents all the time too. And you can probably think back to your own childhood when parents said, you're going to feel this, or you're feeling that, or you're feeling that. Stop. Don't do that. It's one of the things I talk to my therapists and my interns the most about is like, don't project your feelings. Ask them what they're feeling. Where do you feel it in your body? How does it feel in your heart? What are your thoughts thinking? Where is it going for you? Because you're having an experience. You're having an experience. Don't interject your experience. Now, that gets to kind of the end. So then what are we supposed to do, Jesse? Nobody can tell their experience or no one can communicate what they are authentically feeling? No, of course not. It's important to share because that's how we connect as people. However, pay attention to the reason you're sharing. Are you doing it out of selfish reasons? Do you just want to hear yourself talk? Do you just want to hear somebody say, oh my gosh, that was so difficult for you. I can't believe you're so strong. I'm so proud of you. No, you can share, but first of all, share with the other person in mind, right? If they're coming to you, asking you about your experience, you can share. And you can share about how terrible it was and wonderful it was, but don't make the assumption that they're going to feel the same thing. Don't make the assumption or give them the suggestion that it's going to be tough for them too, because it may be tough for them. It may not be tough for them, or it may be tough for them in different ways than it was tough for you. That makes sense. We're all different people. And that's what you got to keep in mind. So it's important to share, right? But 2 sharings. If you're going to share your story, make sure that you're not telling them this is what you'll feel. Just share your own personal story and be like, well, I wonder what it's going to be like for you. That's helpful. And then 2, if you're going to share information, and this is huge change in chapters here as we talk about this. If you're going to share information, only share information if people are asking about it or if you've gotten consent. I cannot tell you how many people have given my wife lactation advice, birthing tips, infant tips, or pre-birthing tips, pregnancy tips, when she did not ask for them. And 95% of them were crap anyways. There were like 2 things that were helpful, and I read them and listened to them on YouTube. That was it. The stuff from the family, none of it helped. The stuff from friends, there was like one book suggestion that was really, really helpful and I liked. Otherwise, it was total crap. It was not helpful for us at all. Now, maybe it's helpful in the future. Maybe I changed my mind. I'm not going to change my mind. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was everyone trying to give me what they thought was best for them. And they were trying to push. And now this is the second thing. You got to be careful because people do this and they're not aware of their own emotions. They push this information on you because they want to be the expert. It makes them feel good when they're the expert. And so you'll feel, and pay attention to this. This is me and you right here. They want to feel like the expert and they want to feel valuable. So they're going to push their information on you. And probably because you're an empathetic person watching this, you're going to want to let them be the expert because you want to care for their feelings. But in that moment, your feelings are the ones that count. Don't let them be the expert just because you want to make them feel good. Tell them to shut the hell up. And I'm serious. If you want to ask for some advice and you see someone who's living the life that you want to live, hey, I see you've got 3 kids and you really have a wonderful way of parenting and I love the relationship you have with your kids. What advice could you give me? What was really helpful for you during pregnancy and during birth? That's great. You're going to them and asking. But when someone just comes and starts to pounce on you and give you all this information, they want to be the expert, they want to feel valuable, and they're making it about themselves, and they need to fuck the hell off. I'm not kidding about that. You tell them. And this is me giving you permission right here. That's one of the frustrating things. And those people who actually will care for you well will probably keep their mouth shut unless you asked. Those people who are just jumping in and trying to tell you what to do are probably the very people who want to feel self-important, self-righteous, and like the expert. And they're probably the ones you absolutely do not need to listen to. So it takes a little work on your effort. That's the sleep deprivation walking in. It takes a little effort on your part, but find those good people, talk to them, because those good people are probably more than likely and eager to help you out. They're just being respectful of you, your personal space, and your boundaries. That's all I got for you. I'll see you next time. Bye. This has been helpful to you. I would love it so much if you hit subscribe down below. I'd love to help you learn what your dreams mean, learn how to live life, and get some insights from a trauma therapist, from me to you. I'm so glad you're here.